Hello, my name is Anitarky and don't forget to subscribe and comment. In the ordinary setting of high school, Junichi watches as many of his classmates pair off, leaving him and his male friends without any female companions while his friends chat about girls and flip through magazines during class. Junichi finds himself trapped with an unflattering magazine in front of him, of the elegant and pretty Yukana, who expresses her displeasure due to her belief that Yukana, a girl who frequently dates boys, would be a suitable match. Junichi's friends choose him to ask her out, leaving a confession letter in her shoe locker. Junichi is surprised when he meets Yukana and, persuaded by his friend Shinpei, summons the courage to confess his initially uncertain feelings. Yukana correctly guesses that he has never had a girlfriend before and suspects that he is more interested in the idea of having a girlfriend than being with her. Despite witnessing him, out of embarrassment, she agrees to become his girlfriend the day after Junichi's confession. He is still in a state of shock contemplating how to navigate his new relationship with Yukana. In the midst of his reflections, Shinpei suggests that a karaoke date would be the perfect opportunity for some intimate moments in a private room. Yukana unexpectedly takes matters into her own hands and proudly declares to her entire class that she and Junichi are now a thing. With the news, she openly extends an invitation to Junichi for a karaoke outing just as she has done with her friends in the past. While they sing tunes, Junichi's imagination begins to run wild with seductive fantasies involving Yukana taking inspiration from the counsel of Shinpei. He musters up the courage to lean in to kiss him, however Yukana cleverly stops his advances by playfully pointing out a hair sticking out of his nose. Although he ignores the incident with laughter, Yukana takes a moment to reflect on Junichi's attempt as he leaves the room. As our couple leaves the karaoke establishment, their encounter does not go unnoticed. From a distance, Ranko glimpses Junichi, and Yukana add an extra layer of intrigue to Saga's development. Junichi is forced to accept an invitation that mysteriously appeared in his shoe locker. Little does he know that this encounter leads him to meet Ranko, who wastes no time in launching a full-scale seduction. However, before things escalate further, Yukana intervenes and puts an end to his antics, as it turns out that Ranko is Yukan's childhood friend. Where there is a problem that she is labeled dangerous, and boy, she will be live up to that description soon enough. Ranko covertly vows to dismantle the budding relationship between Yukana and Junichi. The next day, the Junichi trio Yukana and Ranko are wandering the city streets minding their own business when they find themselves approached by two bold guys who have their eyes on Yukana. Junichi bravely enters shield Yukana but unfortunately ends up being surprisingly unceremoniously pushed aside. Ranko, instead of coming to Yukana, agrees to join forces with the two boys, only to quickly give them a taste of their own medicine with a good beat-down chat about a plot twist. Later, Horse makes an unexpected appearance in Junichi's humble. Morata once again tries to lure him in. She accuses him of not really loving Yukana and tries to sow seeds of doubt. Junichi vehemently denies the accusations, but his words only serve to further enrage Ranko, who becomes increasingly forceful in his advance just as things are reaching a boiling point. Yukana catches them in a rather compromising position, awkward to say the least, but Yukana chooses to make light of the situation by gracefully excusing herself from the premises, with Ranko doing the same as the two girls leave. Yui, Junichi's classmate, watches the scene from a distance, perhaps adding another layer of intrigue to this intricate web of relationships. Later, Yui begins remembering and enjoying the attention he receives from his classmates, particularly Junichi. Meanwhile, Junichi finds himself delving into an investigation about Jairus, or the girls, which leads him to an online show featuring a stylish girl who loves to criticize people while her followers totally agree. In the back-to-school chat, Yui makes her grand entrance as her classmates greet her warmly, unaware of her true thoughts and how she perceives them as humble servants and butlers. Keigo, accompanied by Junichi, Shinpei, and Minoru, strikes up a conversation about the girl they saw online the night before. Keigo proudly shows them a photo of the girl he found. However, Shinpei, who had seen her elsewhere before, expresses doubts about the authenticity of the image, since as fate would have it, Yukana joins the group with her friends and Yui takes the opportunity to strike up a conversation with Junichi. Later at the cafe, Yui unleashes a barrage of criticism towards Yukana, leaving Junichi unsure of his position as he and Yukana are officially dating. Meanwhile, Shinpei watches an online broadcast with Bo, the girl elegant known for her skating comments. He suddenly realizes that the girl he saw earlier and Boa are the same, prompting him to quickly capture the evidence the next day. Shinpei shares his revelation with Keigo and Minoru, presenting evidence that Boa and Yui are in fact the same person. The connection becomes clear through Boa's distinctive opinions and the comparison of images during the discussion. Ranko interrupts and joins the conversation. Yui takes the opportunity to invite Junichi to the rooftop, where she confesses her feelings and orders him to break up with Yukana. However, Junichi rejects Yui's confession, triggering her sudden outburst of dissatisfaction. Yui even goes as far as to threaten to reveal their conversation at the cafe to Yukana, but just in time Janice, her perverted friends along with Ranko make their entrance. Ranko threatens Yui, saying that he will expose Yui's identity as a boa to the entire class if she continues to blackmail Junichi. Feeling defeated, Yui hands the memory card to Junichi and leaves in shock, much to Junichi's relief, to seek revenge as he walks away. Meanwhile, in the salon, a buxom lady expresses her satisfaction with her makeover. Beauty really knows no limits. Junichi has a dream about Yukana before waking up to find Nina, pink-haired lady, on his chest. Danny reveals his desire to emulate a girl and clings to Junichi as they head to school, much to the envy of his friends at the shoe lockers. Yui approaches Junichi trying to make peace, but Nina interrupts and berates Yui as she makes fun of his appearance during lunch. Junichi eats with Yukana while Ronko keeps watch. Annie joins them, and Yukana barely recognizes his band and competes with Ronko and Yukana for attention. Later that night, after watching Yu's online show, Junichi tries to sleep but is interrupted by the babysitter without. However, Junichi remains loyal to Yukana and asks Nana to leave. Danny leaves, determined to earn Juji's affections one day. The next day, Junichi seems worried about Nanny and Yukana approaches him with concern. Danny interferes, but Yukana is unaffected and smiles at them both. Romantic entanglements continue to unfold, leaving us curious about what's in store for our characters. Shenpai and his friends get into a discussion about judicious progress in their relationship and come up with the idea of spicing things up by playing a king game. Akana invites Junichi to her house, but he suggests inviting Ronko, Nanny, and her friends, much to Yukana's disappointment as Junichi daydreams about Yukana. Yui appears unexpectedly and ends up being invited to. Once at Yukana's house, she goes to change and invites Junichi to her room. However, their private moment is abruptly interrupted by the arrival of Ronko, Nin, and Yui. Not only that, but genius friends also appear wearing eccentric outfits. Shinpei takes the initiative and starts the king's game, and everyone seems to be having fun. However, both Shinpei and Junichi secretly come up with a plan to secure a Yukana kiss during the game. When the kissing round comes up, it turns out that all the boys are chosen, revealing that Junichi rigged the selection to prevent the girls from having to kiss any of the boys. It's a pretty embarrassing turn of events despite the awkwardness. Yukana invites everyone to join her for a summer vacation. The only problem is, they all lack the necessary funds to make this happen, so they make the decision to accept part-time jobs to save for their anticipated summer getaway. With their determination to make their summer vacation a reality, the group sets off on their individual path. Job search efforts remains to be seen what adventures and challenges await them as they work to make the vacation of their dreams memorable. Shinpei and Junichi discuss the job opportunities they found online as they prepare for their upcoming summer vacation. Junichi decides to apply for a position as a kitchen staff at a cosplay-themed cafe. Surprisingly, Yukana, Ronko, Yui, and Nanny also end up working as costumed waitresses at the same cafe. As the days go by and they continue with their part-time jobs, they begin to notice something suspicious in the supervisor's coffee. A devious plan to stage an event that seems to have questionable intentions. To their surprise, the supervisor gives them books that seem ordinary but actually contain risky stories. Junichi and Yukana realize that something is not right at the upcoming event. Full of anger, Junichi confronts the supervisor about respecting the girls, but his plea falls on deaf ears. Feeling frustrated, Yui takes matters into her own hands and contacts the cafe owner, threatening the supervisor. Thanks to Yui's intervention, the event is finally cancelled and they finally receive their hard-earned profits. In a post-credits scene, the long-awaited summer vacation has finally arrived, and the group happily reunites at their point of planned meeting. Junichi, Yukana, and her friends finally arrive at the long-awaited beach while the girls are having fun in the water with Junichi. Shinpei and his perverted friends seem to be more interested in ogling other women in swimsuits at night. The girls relax in the hot springs, but Shinpei continues with his questionable plan of trying to catch a glimpse of them while the boys head towards the hot springs. Genie tries to thwart Shinpei's plan, but Shinpei accuses him of being a traitor. Junichi and Shinpei argue back and forth in the forest until Junichi accidentally falls off a cliff. Meanwhile, Shinpei and Keigo continue their march but encounter several traps that hinder their progress. In a twist of fate, they accidentally flip a switch which activates a beautiful fireworks display, much to the delight of the girls who witnessed it. The girls continue their bonding time on the beach, enjoying each other's company and playing with fireworks, while Yukana and Junichi share a sweet moment together. Yui, Horse, and Nana can't help it. They were envious of their connection. Then Yukana and Junichi return to the city where they met a boy who seems to be familiar to Yukana. Yukana's old friend from high school, Diametri, unexpectedly crosses paths with her and Junichi. Junichi begins to feel insecure, thinking that Yukana is more interested in Dai's because of her appearance. This leads to a disagreement between them and Yukana leaves frustrated, leaving to Junichi feeling even worse despite Jenich's attempts to talk to Connor at school. He fails to bridge the gap between them in an effort to lift the genie spirits his friends take. She takes him to karaoke, which initially manages to cheer him up. However, things take a turn for the worse when they see Yukana chatting with Dai another day. After a conversation between Junichi and Yukana, he suddenly runs away, leaving her heartbroken. Yui confronts Junichi, expressing her anger. Faced with her selfishness and narrow-mindedness, Nanny also shares similar feelings as Yukana reunites with her friends. But before she can say anything, she bursts into tears. This provokes anger in Ronko, who storms out to look for Junichi in a restaurant. Ranko finally finds Junichi and his friends, but to their surprise, Dai and his gang also appear, listening to Dai and his gang discussing their plans involving Yukana determined to protect her. Ranko confronts them with Junichi intervenes and confronts them. Junichi confronts Dai and they go out to resolve their differences. Tai initially wins the fight, but Junichi resorts to biting Dai's leg while Dai calls for backup. Junichi's friends join the scene and despite the numbers, Dai and his friends were unable to overpower Junichi. Finally, the Eye promises to stop bothering Yukana and Junichi releases his grip. However, Dai immediately starts kicking Junichi repeatedly. Ranko intervenes with the support of Genius friends encouraging Junichi. Ranko urges him to find Yukana and make peace while Yukana is at a cafe with the babysitter and Yui, but she ignores the frantic phone calls. By Junichi, Danny and Yui advise Yukana that they meet Junichi and sort out their feelings. After Yukana leaves the cafe, Yui and Nin contemplate whether it's right for them to help their rival Junichi. He waits anxiously and finally runs into Yukana. Behind the school, they reconcile with Junichi by recreating their initial confession. After their romantic meeting, Yukana suggests they spend the day at the amusement park. At the amusement park, they visit a photo booth and take a photo together. Junichi tries to kiss Yukana, adding a touch of romance to their date. When the day comes to an end, Yukana confesses that she wants to go back to the amusement park with him next year and every year after that. Surprisingly, she kisses Junichi before going home, leaving him stunned. And that's it for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you liked it and see you in the next one.